Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies preview for Hamilton versus Livingston this weekend. Now, of course, I have done a preview over on the Talk Livy podcast, which we will, of course, tag in this post. Big thank you for them for letting me join their podcast. It's a good listen and it gives you the Livy insight to the match as well. So you want to check that out. It's over on their YouTube, Spotify, and Apple podcasts. But this is the Hamilton focus. We're looking at the team lineup predictions for ourselves, score predictions. And of course, we'll start with the big news that just came out earlier this afternoon or earlier yesterday afternoon. Lee Hodson has been told to self-isolate because he is flatmates with Jack Alnwick, the St Mirren goalkeeper, and he has tested positive, which does put Lee Hodson out for 2 weeks. David, how big of an impact do you reckon that will have on the team?
Huge, yeah. We touched on it before, how kind of not underrated Lee Hodson is, but just how much quality he has, and it just goes totally under the radar. How he just gets on with his job, and he really is a steady hand at the back for us. So I think it's going to make us a lot nervier. I think Saturday will highlight particularly how key he could be to our season. For that exact reason, his quality and composure, I think, will really stand out that's missing on Saturday. So, yeah, it's got to be a huge miss.
And of course, it does throw into question the lineup because I believe all of us would have had him in the starting lineup in that right back spot. It does open that space up. Does that also emphasise just how badly we need players, not only going forward, as we mentioned before, but also still defensively?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we know fine well Hamilton being the team that we are, youth plays a big part. But they've always, even the club have said throughout that you still need those experienced heads. It seems like over the last couple of years, those numbers have been getting smaller. Lee Hodson is definitely one of those at the back. There's not many experienced heads in their defence. You've got Brian Easton and Hodson, and they're both missing. So don't get me wrong, you never know what can happen, and I'm sure we'll be prepared for it. But yeah, I think a few more experienced heads are needed.
Yeah, and obviously we'll look ahead to those lineups now. Now, you said just before we started this that nobody will be able to predict a lineup for this game.
Yeah, I mean, we can have this conversation, you and I, a million times. Even before the season started, Celtic game coming up, we don't see the players in training, I get that, but we know who are the best players are in our team, and it will never be what we predict. I mean, we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know who the best players are, but I can almost be certain we'll put the lineups out, we'll put a tweet out, but I bet you it's not what Rice goes with. There'll be some spanners that no one will call.
Now, we're going to run through our predictions for the lineup just now. Now, I have not included, there may be a surprise maybe to some, Kyle Monroe. He's not in my starting 11, despite the fact, of course, with McMahon being out, we don't have a left back other than Monroe. And of course, with Lee Hodson out, that obviously brings that into question. So I've actually gone for a 3-5-2 is basically what I've gone for. So I've gone Fulton in goal, a Dolphin, Hamilton, and Want as my back three. Smith and Johnson almost as the wing backs to come and track back. Martin and Callahan in the middle. David Templeton, if he's fit, of course, just ahead of them behind Moyo, and I have started Tunde Owolabi. We've said in the podcast previously, Augie does not look interested, and I believe Moyo will do a lot of the heavy lifting. So a lot of the long balls will be thrown up to him, and Tunde, I'm hoping, getting behind and maybe cause some issues. What did you make of that team, David?
Yeah, great team. Everything that's in there makes sense. Like I said, we know what we have and haven't been doing, and we know who can do what we've not been doing, but no chance that's what will happen. Tunde won't start. I agree with every point you made on why he should be starting. Fitness or not, if he can only play half an hour or 45 minutes, why not make it the first half hour or 45 minutes? But it's not going to happen. I think what I see him going with is a 4-4-2 almost. Back four, well, say Fulton in goals. Back four of a Dolphin at right back, two centre halves are Sean Want and Jamie Hamilton. And I think the young guy, Monroe, will get thrown in. You never know. Like I say, it's a much more competitive game against Livingston. He did do okay against Rangers. The pressure was off. We're going to expect a bit more of him starting, especially with Scott McMahon missing. I don't know if I personally would go with it, but especially with Lee Hodgson missing, I think Hodgson would be at the left back for me if he was fit. So I would go with Monroe. He'll probably go with Callahan and Martin in the middle again. Again, not been doing great, but listen, they've had some time off together. We can hopefully get a partnership going. It's going to click sooner or later, I suppose. I don't know if Templeton's fit. Somebody can obviously comment. But if Templeton's fit, he's in there. Lewis Smith would be in there for me. And I think they'll go with Moyo and Ogie. Yeah, I would like to see Tunde come on and shake it up. I think Moyo and Ogie in particular need a bit of competition. We always, like you mentioned in the last podcast, there's a lot of pressure, or maybe not pressure, a lot of expectation on Moyo. He was the face of the kit launch. You can't mention his name without everyone asking about the Rangers goal. I think maybe he might be getting a bit comfortable. So maybe having Tunde there, like I say, the guy's got an incredible goal record. He'll be getting fitter by the day. He's got to be worth an appearance now. So hopefully that will kind of put a spark up the other two guys as well.
And I'm very interested. Obviously, you've included Kyle Monroe. I haven't, which, you know, I agree with Brandon in terms of I don't feel like he's ready. And of course, I haven't seen a huge amount of him. But I don't think I would start with this game, hence why I've gone for the three at the back. Now, our score predictions, this is kind of the biggest thing. Will we be able to pick up another 3 points? What are your score predictions looking ahead to the next game?
I think one each. I think I would, like I say, it's a game we have to be winning. But looking at the personnel we have available and the form the other personnel are on, and like I say, Livy haven't had a great start either, but I do feel that they are much stronger man for man in a lot of positions. I don't think there's many, if any, positions, if you went through 1 to 11, where we wouldn't take the option that they have at Livy. They do have some great players. So, as disappointing as I would be not to get a win, I'd be happy with a draw. I'd take one each, I think.
Yeah, listen, I absolutely agree. That was actually my prediction, was one each as well. I said on the Talk Livy podcast I would be positive. I would say 2-1. I did say that it would most likely be one each. And listen, I absolutely agree with everything you've said there. I think kind of man for man, I do think they have some better players in certain positions. I would prefer some of ours over theirs. I mean, we're sitting in the table just looking at it now. There's a 2-point gap between us and 9th place. Obviously, Kelly are there. If we can pick up points here, we could possibly jump to 9th if everything kind of stays how it is. So it's definitely a winnable game, I believe. And hopefully it's one we can kick on and obviously pick up those 3 points. David, thank you very much for joining us on the short little preview here, man. And I will be speaking to you hopefully after the game on Saturday.